It's very significant that the president's weighed in and called this directive. But of course, you're quite right to say that, to indicate this is the man who knows the art of the deal, and things are going to keep going. Unraveling Anthropic over the course of 6 months will be extremely complicated. They're in the tech stack, they're in the intelligence community, they are used in combat operations on Maven's Smart system, which is a Palantir system. It's not impossible to replace them. And of course, the president is suggesting a 6-month phase out. And even Anthropic, when they gave their very strong statement yesterday, said, we will help if the choice is to remove us. We will make sure that transition is smooth. And then you've got now Warner calling in from the Senate Intelligence Committee, suggesting this is a politicized attack. And of course, the president did call them left-wing nut jobs. So he is concerned that this is not really a debate about the future of war, but a jostling for position over which company gets what. And if the Axios report is correct, I don't have separate reporting to that, then this could be still part of that process. Hegseth, of course, the Secretary of War or Defense, had given us until 5:01. So we'll also still be waiting to see if the Defense Department wants to weigh in.
You know, I think about national security with all of this stuff, AI, you name it, raw materials, everything. And I just think about if this comes undone, is that a loss for national security for the United States?
It's quite hard to work out the ways in which the US military machine is dependent on AI at the moment. Well, that's what I've been trying to do in this book, honestly. And it has threaded through. Of course, LLMs and agentic AI, this is something that is being rapidly adopted, but also really, really unknown and unreliable in many cases. So the military and the intelligence community, both of them in terms of national security, have been experimenting from pretty early on after that first moment when ChatGPT was launched back in, when was that, November 2023?
Yeah.
And they have started really trying to develop their own systems. Obviously, Anthropic is the interesting one because they're on the classified cloud. They found a way to do it, and they were threaded through a number of systems, mostly helping things run faster. If you imagine an enterprise service, but just happening in a classified way, really trying to draw on data points and make things go swifter, quicker, connect things, smash through bureaucracy. In that sense, that could slow national security down. But of course, the thing they said that they were worried about wasn't politics. It was autonomy. They didn't want their tools being involved in autonomous warfare because they're not ready. And we were increasingly beginning to hear from military leaders, not just the campaigners who you would expect to have a problem with this, like Stop Killer Robots, but actually the former leader, the former director of Project Maven, Jack Shanahan, who's a retired 3-star general, said, look, LLMs are not ready for prime time. He put that post out yesterday and just said this technology isn't ready yet, which is very much in line with what Anthropic had been saying.
I want to go back to the Axios. We have a little bit of a fuller read through on this. Anthropic and the Pentagon still negotiating ahead of the Pentagon's 5:01 p.m. ET deadline to reach a deal, citing a source familiar. Axios goes on to say if no deal is reached, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth plans to declare Anthropic a supply chain risk. This 5:01 deadline, might it, Katrina, be extended? Where did this deadline come from?
Like a TikTok deadline in the past?
You know, deadlines can move.
Yeah.
I mean, so much of this is performative, isn't it? We've seen a lot of very loud public statements. As we actually have learned, the disagreement on paper comes down to the term as appropriate. There have been letters going backwards and forwards. So we've been told that are about whether human judgment will be used over the use of force in an autonomous situation. And we had Emil Michael talking to Bloomberg TV, much more cool-headed than he was last night. Last night, he was calling Dario Amodei a liar and saying he had a God complex. This morning with Bloomberg, he was saying, look, talks are carrying on. So I think, of course, this is a negotiation. They've acknowledged, I think, in multiple ways that they're really dependent on Claude and that Claude is really good and they want to keep using it. Claude doesn't want to be involved in autonomy. And I was learning, of course, that if the department pushes ahead with autonomy in the way it wants to do, it could be quite hard to have one system that allows autonomy and another system that doesn't touch autonomy that Claude would be on. So they do need to work out exactly what their red lines are, even if they're coming to a much softer accommodation behind closed doors now. But, with the president weighing in and with Hegseth maintaining this position, there's no reason to think they will reach a deal at 501.
So, Katrina, just in the last 20 seconds that we have with you, when I was on my way home yesterday, this crossed. It was just minutes after you were on our program talking about it, but it said, it was this post from Anthropic's Dario Amodei saying that the company cannot accede to the Department of Defense. Did you learn anything, just in 30 seconds, did you learn anything new in that post last night?
Yeah, I've got it right in front of me, actually. I thought there was a very interesting part of it, a detail to pick out, which is we've offered to work directly with the Department of War on R&D to improve the reliability of these systems, but they have not accepted this offer. I thought that was very interesting. They are saying, we want to help you use this wild technology in a reliable way and help us help you.